Good evening, everybody. It's Monday. It's plastic crack time. Yes, welcome to season 5, episode 20 of the Plastic Crack Pod. Episode 20. That's terrifying. Halfway through the year now. Halfway through the year.
I know. Halfway to Christmas.
Shut up!
Oh, shut up! No stomach.
No, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to my box of crisps that Dom's going to send again.
Your care package. You went them in about a week last time. I'm not sending. They're supposed to last you a year. You don't behave yourself.
Haley kept on snaffling them. She kept on coming in here and like taking bags.
Is there an echo?
No. Not here.
Is my mic okay? I've not checked my settings.
No, you sound fine.
Okay. You sound fine. This is me. I can't hear an echo.
Got a bit paranoid then. Yes. So, welcome to the Plastic Crack Podcast. Go through all the doing, shall we? All the bits and pieces. So, we are very, very proud to be sponsored by the awesome Boards and Swords Hobbies in Derby. When you're checking out through the web store, use the code PCP5 for an additional 5% off your already rather nicely discounted purchases. Big thank you to everyone that's watching on the catch-up. Go through the list. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Or the YouTube subscribe to channels.
So YouTube, you
like. What a shill.
Shill, Steve. Shill. Go on, shill for all your worth.
It's horrible, though, isn't it? It's not like we do this for a living. It's a bit of fun. And you still think you need to go through it all. Anyway, yes. Tonight's subject: your painting journey. How far have you come? Should be interesting. This one. I'll get into it later, but the reason was I came across one of the oldest figures I have currently painted, and it reminded me that scarily I've been painting in this hobby for 33 years.
Wow.
Wow. And it really, really did make me think about how important it is to people.
I thought you were just going to say your life choices. Then.
Yeah.
Well, it was. Life choices. I dread to think how much paint I've eaten in those past 33 years. The other day, I had, this is gross, I had green spit and I couldn't work out why. And I was like, then I realised I'd been painting using this green tail light German, obviously bit on the brush, and all of a sudden I was half lizard. So that was a bit of a strange one, but yes. How are we, chaps? Is it sunny where you are?
It is beautiful here.
It is now. It's been confused all day, but it's sunny now. It's been really confused. It's all right.
It's been nice here this afternoon. Like I say, we can take any sunny day we're given. These are marked off in the calendar of when it was last sunny. Up north.
Up north.
Up north. Right. Let's see who was joined us on this fair Monday evening. We have Ham and Jam. Painted some 60mm resin city bases tonight. Very interesting.
Okay.
Hippo's Hobby House is here. History of Miniature. 98 degrees in Washington, D.C.
Oh, go away.
Oh.
But he's off to play Gangs of Rome, so he's going to catch us on watching the catch-up.
Excellent choice.
Nick James is here. He's painting 30 Years War.
Excellent.
Your painting journey. The great wargaming community is a journey itself. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
That's a very, very wholesome answer.
Isn't it?
That's so uncynical. That's so uncynical.
I like the fact you have to feel you have to dive in on that one and point out that somebody's not being cynical.
Mr. Cynical. No, it's not. It's nice. It's nice to see someone who's not been battered with the cynic hammer.
Jaded.
What you mean? Those tunics are the wrong shade of mauve. Cut it out. Go and do some research. Battlemat, Rich Lionheart. Ralph, he's what's Ralph doing? Able to watch Night Live. It's actually not raining at the moment here in Normandy. Ooh,
nice.
Welcome, Ralph.
Awesome.
David Baker, leads a pirate painting. Red Steph, Andrew JF, Carazette, Glendower. It's a very humid Norfolk coast. Paul, when you say it's Congo stuff for you tonight, do you mean what you're painting or the weather?
Speaking of Congo, did you see that the film Congo is getting like a special re-release?
No.
I know. I was really thrown because someone described it as a B movie, and I was like, that was like the height of cinema when I was little. I was like, it's an amazing film.
Edward East, hello, all. Looking forward to tonight's show. Glad you are. Should be a bit of an interesting one. Mobile and hostile. 30,000 bees have taken residence in his neighbour's roof. That's absolutely horrific.
I like the dedication to go out and count them, though. Well done.
Yeah.
What I wouldn't do though is on the discussion of bee movies. Oh my god,
it goes together like
they write themselves. Don't watch any bee movies about bees. It could be bad for you. John Sowerby, GC Murray, hello for Sunny Dundee, Bicker City, hello Don.
Hey, hello dude.
Don.
9999 pardon, hello. This dude for some reason won't scroll. Rogue Trooper, Carl Burks, Darren Ling. It's from Sunny Kings Lynn. He's made to reach season 3 on reruns.
Excellent. Oh yes, excellent. Fantastic.
Thousands of 18mm piano war games figures.
Oh my god.
Shell Shock Scenics. The sun is shining bright over the River Mersey tonight. That rhymes.
It does,
yes, it's I actually don't. As strange as it sounds, I don't live that far away from the Mersey. It's literally to go. It meanders through the middle of town. It's very strange. Dan Justin's here. He's more epic ECW on the painting table tonight.
Nice.
Adam Kirtley, Count the Seven. Martin Hoey. He's got a Henry VII figure is next on his painting table. Rich John. David Benton, Marky Sparky, Mortzuk. It's moist in northern Sweden. Moist.
Good.
Moist.
You don't normally expect that, do you? History and Dice, friends of General Haig. Hi, Andy. Hope you are well. Rain showers in Worcester. Steve Harbour, pleasant in his corner of Mercia. Steve's not actually very far from me, so the weather's going to be the same. Double dip, old school FRP. Mark's here. Paul Kukendell, or Kendall. I always get that wrong. Sorry, mate. Neil Oldham, Rose and Rob and Rose Hobden. The real Steve is here. Hello,
Real Steve. About time he turned up.
James, how's it going, mate? James told you about an interesting beer that you found last week, gingerbread ale.
Oh god!
Oh my god!
I like gingerbread, but I don't know how I feel about it.
I love gingerbread.
Was it nice?
Ginger lattes, but ginger beer, no.
Was it nice?
Was it nice, James? I think it would be if it was like suitably chilled. I think it would be quite refreshing.
I mean, proper ginger beer. I
quite like the alcoholic ginger beer that you can get.
Yeah, me too.
That you can get
gingerbread.
Gingerbread. Yeah. No.
That sounds like you have to chew the beer.
Work it around under your beard.
Yeah, just work it around your gums.
That sounds hideous. John Carter, Robin is here. Yorkshire Dragoon. Hello, Tim. Jesus Christ, I thought I was old. I started so Pardon started 2 years ago. That's what it means. It's going to be interesting to find out just how long people have been painted for. How much paint tea have you drunk? I dread to think. I really do dread to think. Dermot Connolly is here. Trevor Hodgkins, getting to the bottom. It's going to do that thing. Ben Lowry, hello from Tennessee, a balmy 90 degrees. Triari, Carassia horses done now under some Imperial Guard. Benjamin Christian, Ben Lowry, Craig Canese, Philip Toon, Camberwell Johnny. Welcome, even though from Wiltshire, God's cruel mistake on the West Country. It's a bit harsh. It's minis for Congo State. That's just said it's gone hot and wet here. Right. Okay. Lovely stuff.
I'm really interested in that Congo game. Ever since we, Paul brought it up when we did some games that you should try. So I really like been looking. Well, I really like look at it, and therefore have been trying to avoid looking at it. So yeah, it does look very cool.
And I was planning to, but I've got things on this weekend, so I'm not. It's Phalanx this weekend in St Helens. It's my closest war game convention every year, June. No, I will not be attending. So there we go. Hello, everybody, from the Congo, as Paul is currently painting and is living in. Right. So what have we all been up to? Let's start with Martin. Martin, what have you been up to?
I've done quite a bit, and quite a bit's been going on. Let me start with. So I had a game last week with Robin, we were continuing the Crusades. And this was so the only reason we hadn't continued the Crusade was because I was waiting for Robin to build a river, because we're that pernickety that we wanted the desert river base, not the river base that I have with the green sides, because that wouldn't be it. And Robin went to the point of going on Google Earth to see what the color of the river was, but the color of it was probably the color of some of the beers that Steve likes, so he decided in the end to just go blue. But
and people worry about buttons, and he's worrying about
we're looking at the rivers. So once he completed that, because we wanted a bridge scenario, because when the Crusade was moving towards Doralane, they did have to, they call it the Blue River, but it is the Frimbris, and so we designed a scenario around that where Robin's troops are essentially in a column, and they're trying to get across the bridge, and there's a small unit of Seljuks. This is part of our campaign, so I only sent one commander there, but he had the most, and he's got some Byzantine allies, and it's one of the best tables I think we've done. So here's a little tease as the
does look good.
The Crusader column basically makes its way down this sort of gorge, and you can see there's the bridge, and in the distance you can see the banners of a small Seljuk force on the other side of the bridge. But what you can't see in here is all the Seljuks that are lying in wait either side of the column.
I'd just like to say that colour of that river is not 100% accurate. I think
we've done a Ridley Scott on it. But no, it was a fantastic game. We created some special rules for the scenario. Nothing really out there. You can decide the gorge there that you can on the right hand side. We said that was impassable for the troops that were marching down there. So there were only a few points on the battlefield where they could actually get up there. So in typical sneaky Seljuk fashion, I've got horse archers running around, and basically it's all about attrition, weathering the arrows to before they can get before the bridge. It kind of opens up and they can get into line and form up. And really it mirrors a lot of the problems that the Crusaders had, because they were constantly harassed the entire way. And we got the Byzantines in there. So that's quite fun. So that was that was good. It rolled on quite a lot. So I'm hoping I've got to get that edited. And then that may be out at the weekend. We'll see. It depends how busy my week gets. But that was a lot of fun. And we've now finished the second phase of the campaign, and we're on to phase 3. And phase 3 is essentially just the Battle of Doralane, but it's going to be different parts of the battle, like bits at the beginning. There's lots of different funny things that happen in the battle, and we're going to try and do 2 or 3 battles over the whole thing, and then sort of see where we stand. So that was that. And then I completed a boatload of, well, I say a boat. I completed loads of the epic Carthaginian stuff that I've been working on. So I thought I'd show that. So I've done a whole load of the Libyan spearmen. So I've got to say thank you to Robin as well, because he actually came round a week or so ago. We actually just sat there and had a painting session, and he helped me knock a load of them out. So we've got the Libyan spearmen there. So there's 2 units there, which those are really straightforward to paint. I think I could you can knock those out quite quickly, because essentially it's shield and chainmail, and then with some the funny up design. So we've done those. These are the Iberian Scutari. So there's a unit I painted on the right, a unit Robin painted on the left. But I quite like that, because obviously Carthage was drawing its forces from so many city-states and conquered areas and mercenaries that I think it just works quite well, especially at this scale. You've got these slight differences. Now these guys are the ones that I probably had the most problem painting, but I actually am now the happiest with how they look, because I just think you have got that mass infantry effect, and it looks
why were they difficult to paint?
Because you've got so many different poses in the strip of tent. You've got guys with their swords in the air, and you can't just with these guys, with the Libyans here, they're all shields, so you just get gold and you just go down the line. It takes like 30 seconds, whereas these guys, you've got some with the swords over the shields, which is easy. We're not talking major time, but you have got to go back and pick them out. But I wouldn't bother painting the shields on the back rank. I mean, I'd just do them red, black, blue. I wouldn't bother doing designs on them. You can't see them at all.
No.
Maybe the ones at the edges. But so I did those. So there's the Scutari. I also not as many as you did, Dom. But I've done some Numidians. On there, just off the sprue, and you can see some Numidians that Robin has done in there as well.
Nice.
So they're ready to go. Heavy cavalry. Now, I think I love these heavy cavalry. I really do. I think they're just so much better than the Roman ones. I love the sculpts. I like the poses. I just really like these. So I've got a whole load more. And I you see that little snake I painted on his shield? First try. I was so happy.
Well done.
I was so happy. It went off. I didn't even have to take the brush. I just loaded the brush, did the shape, took it off, did the mouth, and walked away. And that was it. I was never going to touch it again. And then there's a commander that Robin did. There's a Carthaginian commander that I've done.
Nice.
There as well. And then finally, here they are. So the idea is obviously because I'm trying to get some battle reports going, so I just need to get the stuff on the table. But that's everything I've done for the Carthaginians so far. So there's essentially two just under strength divisions there. Both divisions need a sort of just one more unit in them to be legal, if you want to use that term, for the army list. Legal. I mean, I just play it as I'd be quite happy to play it as it is. I need to add another. The elephants. It's 2 bases of elephants is a standard unit. So one more of those will be quite fun to put together. And then I think we've just got to do one more division and then be ready to have a game and then just knock out some more Romans. But I started to paint up the Gauls. But because they're a warband unit, you've got to paint twice as many.
Yeah,
because you've got to be 2 ranks.
6 bases, isn't it, or something?
It's 6 bases. It's 6 bases, yeah. So, for a standard unit, which I'm working on now. Because my original thought was, I'll have a couple of large units, but a large unit will be 8 bases. So I don't know if I could. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying. I've kind of got into a bit of a rhythm now of doing it. But I've run out of spray paint at the minute, so I can't undercoat anything. So I've got to go. So I have, I did have to listen to you rant for 6 hours. You had to listen to me rant and take phone calls.
Oh, can you imagine these 2 old women having a moan like they would have done, Steve? Jeez. Oh, wow. Those two going at
it was the world was well and truly put to rights. And it is, but no, it is great fun. I've had a really nice week. I've also, after some issues, Ragged Staff has slowly started coming back into stock. So I've been slowly building levels back up. So there was a few problems. So the store has had to remain shut for longer than I anticipated, which is a bit annoying. But hopefully that'll open again in sort of the next week or so. So yeah, so that's me. It's a busy week.
Nice.
Good stuff. Dom, how about your good self? What have you been up to?
I'm also working on Libyans at the moment, so there you go. And I can confirm they are bloody easy to paint, which is great.
They are.
Really easy to paint.
God bless big shields.
Big shields and armor is the perfect scenario. So yeah, I've had a good week as well. Actually, been very productive on the old painting front, which has been fun. So I did the you saw last week. I did the Vive l'Empereur, character black powder pack from Warlords. So I thought it was only fair to do the English. So I did the English.
I love that. I never realised. I didn't see that there was a Highlander just randomly.
Yeah. It's just a goof in there with. There's all sorts of weird little people in there. It's very, very odd. There's a guy with a pig hanging from his back. There you go. Oh no, that's the French one. Where's the English one? I put the wrong one up.
I was about to ask. Is that? I just noticed on the French.
Yeah.
Did you bugger up their flag? Have you burnt it? And
that was how there were 2 options with it. So
okay.
You could have a battle torn one. It was a pain in the bum to cut through, I have to say. So I didn't do it with the British one because I didn't want to.
You didn't want to burn the colours.
Didn't burn the colours exactly. I could do it with the tricolor. That's not a problem. So yeah, that was fun. I was actually I was surprised how quickly I painted those. I just sat down over a couple of evenings, actually. Well, not a couple of evenings. It was about 4 or 5 evenings of just working through them. They just painted themselves. They're so much fun. Normally British can be a little, much as I love playing with them, they are a pain in the ass to paint because it's just red, white, grey, black. But yeah, that was fun. And then I did their weird commander.
I do like. Does he come in the box?
I don't know because I bought the two together. I think they sent it to you as. Actually, no. I think he does come with English. Actually, I think he comes with the English set. So yeah, his face does look a bit weird on that picture, but he's actually really quite cool. That. Nice dude. And also, I think this was their throw-in. They threw in this lady.
I can't remember. Vivendi. I can't remember.
That's the one. That one.
Vivendi,
so I've done that up as well. So I finished those up. So that was good fun. I really enjoyed doing those. And then you just talked about it just a minute ago, but I started on the Hannibal stuff. So there's the Numidians. Numidians.
You like your Numidians?
I do like the Numidians. They were one that really fascinated. I've always had a thing about light cavalry. I mean, usually horse archers, but light cavalry just really interests me as a formation through history. That was fun. And then I did the infantry as well to go with it. So
they are so easy and quick to paint up, though, aren't they? The Numidians.
It's so quick, mate. So quick.
And they just look cool.
Yeah, they work.
They look lovely, John.
Really nice. I'm quite happy with how they've come out. So yeah, so now as I'm working through the Libyans, and I think the next ones after that for me will be the Gauls as well. So then I better get back to doing some 28 mils.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm doing at the minute. I've got I'm on 28 mil Gauls, the Gallic cavalry that I undercoated about a month ago, and then decided I hated the horses, and now I'm I'm painting them because I've got enough. I'm out of options at the moment.
Yeah, Martin's faith in Don. Did you bugger up that
flag?
Up that flag. Well, to be fair, it's it would be possible. Dear. Yes. Red Steph. Yes, there are Libyans javelinmen on the sprue. No, actually, where are they? Actually,
they're on. They might be. No, there's Iberian. There's Iberian. Yeah, there's Gallic slingers. There's Iberian. What are they called?
Cretan archers.
I was going to say cretins then. Cretatar or something. There's basically the little Spanish.
Javelin guys. Yes, the light with the round shields and the javelins.
Yeah.
Yes,
there's light Spanish cavalry, Gallic cavalry, Numidian cavalry, and Carthaginian heavy cavalry.
Yeah,
it's a lot of cavalry.
It's a lot of cavalry. Yeah, which is fun. But at that scale, it's easy. What about your good self, Steve? What have you been up to?
I had a very busy week last week, so I didn't get any much painting done. But I did when I decided to paint something. I went to the stash of something that I didn't really need to paint. So I've got a lot of Bushido stuff.
Yes, I love him.
Jaribo.
I mean, it's just I love the way he's kind of. I was about to say he has a normal sized katana. He doesn't. It's obviously massive.
It's massive,
but it just looks cool. I do like these guys. He got that stupid rule as well, which lets him just walk around the battlefield unaffected by obstacles.
I think I've not really looked at his card yet, but there he is from the back. Yeah, lovely mole to paint. I just wanted something different to paint. So I looked at the stash and I thought I've got a bunch of Bushido stuff that I bought on Black Friday last November. They've sat there and I've barely touched them.
So I got this guy. You inspired me, so I got this guy coming up to paint as well. He's a new one. He was only available at not Gen Con. What's it called? UK Games Expo.
Oh yeah.
Miller went there, so he picked him up. So he's holding it. He's got a stuffed bear on his belt, like a little teddy bear, and he's eating an apple.
Yay!
Because why not?
On Saturday, I started the Ito starter box.
Oh, you snake!
And this looks like a geisha with a bloody big snake. Should be interesting. Loads of snake people with Ito, though. Loads and loads of snake people. which I'm looking forward to painting. But yeah, those Tengu ones, the big birds, I do enjoy painting them. There's something I don't know, quite therapeutic about painting them.
I just remember your battle with Ian, and he the owl guy that you hit, and then he managed to cook it to a crisp with a lightning spell, and all that was left was some charred feathers.
I wouldn't mind, but he wasn't even part of the combat. He just happened to be stood near the bloke who started it, and he ended up getting fried, electrified. I did enjoy that. I thought it was off to. Remember, my first combat was like one strike, and I just I was like, boom, that was it.
That's it. Yeah.
And then my luck went slightly downhill from there.
All I remember, one of the main things I remember is my brother-in-law had a man riding a tortoise that moved like 1 inch a turn, and it was just making its way slowly across the battlefield. And you spent the whole game trying to avoid it because you didn't know what it was going to do. Like, it can't be good. It can't be good. Whatever
if there's a guy wombling its way towards me on the back of a giant tortoise, things aren't going to work out well for me at all. So I just avoided him. I think it was a draw that game, wasn't it? None of us. I think we had like.
It was just. Yeah, it was. I think it was. It was. Yeah, you kind of both went sod the objectives and were just battering each other.
Yeah. Which sometimes does take over. What I did start of the weekend, I'm having a look at my partisans again.
Oh, nice.
Because the War Games Atlantic, I thought, well, I've got quite a few War Games Atlantic boxes. I've got the leftovers from 0200 hours, and also got that new BEF box, and they fit together really well. They really do go together quite well. A bit of milliput required for the arms. But yeah, it's just giving the parts a bit more character. But so I'm working on those this week. I think they're quite easy to paint because they're non-military. They're all civilian. Just paint them up in random civilian clothes. But that's my plan anyway.
Nice.
Right. So on to what we're talking about tonight. So your painting journey, how far have you come? Like I mentioned earlier, it terrified me that when I realised I've been painting figures for 33 years. Where's my life gone?
Is this all there is to show for it?
But it made me realise how important of an aspect of the hobby it is for me. It makes up the majority of the hobby. I mean, a game when I can, but I spend the rest of the time painting. And I was thinking about how I started off. But let's start with Dom. You've been at the hobby the longest.
Oh, years at the millstone. Yeah.
So when did you first start actually painting your miniatures?
Well, funny enough, and I should have been prepared, and I'm not because I don't know what happened tonight. But anyway, up there on the shelf, and I might get them if I feel really energetic. Is a box, like a Clark's shoes box, which I found not that long ago, actually, in the garage of Doom, full of old D&D figures that I painted up when I must have been 14, 13, something like that. And they are absolutely awful. I mean, they are just atrocious. I don't know why I kept them, really, because I thought, well, part of me thought I could strip them and redo them. They might be worth something because they're quite old Citadel kind of figures. And then I thought, geez, I have slapped on the paint like I was painting the extension of my house. You know, it's ridiculous. So yeah, you know, that's quite a long time ago. Let's put it that way. Probably around 40 plus years.
So with that, were you of the mindset you are now is that it's important to get them on the table?
Yes.
So you've always had that sort of way of thinking.
Well, it's funny when you talked about this session tonight, and I thought actually probably the bit that's changed for me, and I blame you two, is that actually I've started to enjoy painting the odd thing.
So started to care.
No, I don't know about that. I don't care about that. I don't care. No, but it's funny. I definitely have, in more recent times, probably in the last couple of years, actually really kind of enjoyed that time of painting. And I noticed it a while back because a couple of weeks ago, I was just really busy, and Elaine wanted me to clear up the table where I paint and what have you, because it just happens to be the dining room table, which I thought was not allowed. But anyway,
highly unreasonable.
But and so I didn't paint for about 2.5 weeks, and I actually much to my surprise, I started to think, oh, I'm missing it. And so apart from usually I just miss the fact I've got projects to do and stashes of figures that I need to get through and what have you. Whereas actually I thought I really fancy getting the paints out and painting again. So so I think it's definitely has changed a bit more recently, and it's noticeable. I think because I'm enjoying it more, I think my painting quality has gone up, which is no coincidence, because the more effort you put in, the more time you take, the better you get. So, and the more you do it, of course. So as I used to be, get it done, give it a bit of a dry brush, varnish it, stick it on the table. It definitely has improved, and definitely changed my outlook on painting quite a lot.
It's really weird you say it. When I painted the polygonic French unit, I didn't enjoy a single second of that. Not a single moment of enjoyment was had during that entire process. And I can honestly say that I did not. It's why it took me so long, because it was a chore. I hated painting them, but I wanted to see if I could paint them. And while I did for them, although Ken still reminds me that I didn't paint those last two voltigeurs because they got turnipped. I didn't enjoy it, and I can honestly say they were some of the most, like I say, boring, turgid, awful things I've ever painted in my life. I did not have one single solitary moment of joy painting those. But no, I mean, but if I did enjoy them, it'd have been a completely different story. I'd have had a
so you would have been Napoleonics all the way for you
in no time at all. But no,
what would have been?
Absolute purgatory going through. So, Martin, what about your starting days of painting?
My starting days, first miniatures I painted was in 1994, so I was 10, and I got given mine were D&D, and that was the wargaming started with GW. That was when I was sort of 11 or 12. But the first thing I was given was back when D&D was owned by TSR. Their outlet in the UK was in the village I lived in, and so they had a box called First Quest, which I've still got somewhere. I wouldn't be able to resell it because of all the route. Like, I think we drawn willies on everything. Like we were like, we were playing it 10 through 14, so we just drew willies on everything. Anyway, that had miniatures in it, and I just went at them with enamels, bendy plastic dwarf, and that was the first thing I painted, and then it would have been sort of Space Marines and GW, and my first historicals I didn't paint until how old am I now? 40. So I was about 2006. So however old I was in 2006, 32. No, 22. 32. 22. No.
We established in your last video that you can't count.
Yes. Thank you for that. That was awful, wasn't it? I was like, can't do maths. So I need to get a timer. It's like what not to do if you can't do maths quickly in your head. A timer in a battle, great. Those were the first things. And with the problems with RPGs, I painted what my friends' characters, because none of them could be asked, and they still can't. The people I play RPGs with, I've painted everything for role-playing games, and they used to like give me these horrific like color combinations to dive into, but I enjoyed it. I liked someone saying to me, I just want blacks, reds, and some yellow on there, and then just me coming up with it. And they never said, "Oh, that's horrific," or anything like that. So it might just be being nice. And then really it was just a case of going through Warhammer. I mean, I do get a bit twitchy if I haven't painted, but I find if I haven't been painting, that what I want to go and paint is something fantasy or sci-fi.
Oh yeah.
Because of all the weird, they're not weird, but the lighting effects. Having a lightning effect or a spell or something. And painting some crazy things. I actually quite enjoy that, and that's kind of, if I haven't been painting for a while, that's when you go out and buy a bunch of dinosaurs and you go, I'm going to paint these. I want to do some crazy colors on them. So I can't really see me never painting, if that makes sense. I enjoy painting, and it's very much 50-50 for me. I paint and I game, but I think I would still paint even if I didn't game, and I would potentially just paint. I quite like to make dioramas, like big, and do battle scenes or something like that. That would be quite. I'd be up for doing that kind of thing. But I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think I'd paint units exactly unless it was on like a display base. So I do enjoy painting. I think I've come on a long way from what I used to do, and I know because I use a lot of contrast and things in my videos. But that's when I'm sort of doing the mass battle armies. I want to try and get things done. When I'm like this samurai dude that I'm going to paint here, I probably won't use any contrast on him. I prefer for those models that I could take. I'm probably going to spend longer on that samurai model than I would have done on painting all those epic Carthaginians. So I think one of the things I've done with my painting journey is changing the method I'm using depending on what I'm trying to achieve. So like the Gallic War stuff that I've been doing, the 28mm Caesarean stuff, I've been very clear about. This is like, one coat of contrast, maybe a highlight, and then that's it, and then move on, and get things out. Whereas if I'm painting skirmish games or characters from, like, say, the Wars of the Roses, I like spending longer on them. So that's kind of where I was. What about you? What was your, because you said you started like
91. Yeah. My first painting was, I got into 40k that year, and then my first ever White Dwarf was a battle report, and it was Blood Angels versus Eldar. It was Andy Chambers versus Jervis Johnson. And it wasn't, I don't think it was like that long before Christmas. My parents said, no, what do you want for Christmas? And I just went, and it was just the Blood Angels army that Andy Chambers had. So I got that for Christmas in 1991, and the paints and stuff. And I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I mean, before that, I used to paint airfix models. Because my dad was a big modeler, and he had loads and loads of planes and ships and stuff like that. I think everyone he knew in the army was a modeler. It must have just been something from there. So I'd painted before, but I wasn't very good. And this continued into my 40k days. Some of it was just trash. Looking back, just trash, just absolute awfulness.
But do you know, part of that was, don't you think part of that was the fact there wasn't really that many ways to learn? It wasn't like you go and watch a tutorial on a video or anything like that. So you had books and magazines you could look at, but they never quite weren't as easy. And also,
my only sort of frame of reference was White Dwarf. So that's where I started, and I just persevered. I know it's one of those things you can't be great when you start off. There's always going to be complete crap at the beginning. And these were. I was like that for about 2 years. Everything I put out was just awful. It was just awful stuff. And then I sort of had an epiphany, sort of round about 94, 95, when something just sort of clicked, and I could see myself getting better at painting. But I didn't paint my first historical wargaming figures till about, I think that would have been about 1993. Our local club was sort of 90% historical military wargaming. And these older gamers said to us, do you want to try something different in a couple of weeks? And we were like, yeah. So they said, well, we're going to put on this World War II game. But what we want you to do is go away and just paint 10 1/72 scale. So we split off. It was Germans, and we were the airborne, British Airborne. So I painted 10 British Airborne. I think they were either Airfix or Matchbox or Revell, soft plastic. But they were my first historical. That was actually the first time I ever took a craft knife to a figure as well, because they had helmets on, and I want them to wear berets because they're the airborne. So I carved the helmets into beret shape.
Oh, nice.
Oh wow!
Almost lost a finger while
Obviously.
doing it because it was my first go. But yes, that was the Beaky Marines, my very first painting. The RTB01. Still remember the name of the box. So yeah, it was around about sort of the mid-90s. I had sort of an epiphany, and that's when I could see there was an improvement. I was getting better and better and better. And then I think the happiest I've ever been was with figures when I painted. And we started playing Necromunda in 1995. And compared to 4 years earlier, these were like golden demon standard compared to my original. I mean, they were still a bit crap, but they were a lot better. The paint was actually more or less where it should have been. But do you ever have when you've been painting over the years? I mean, like say between us, we've all put in a fair few years. Do you ever feel that you've ever peaked or plateaued with your painting?
I sometimes paint stuff and then I look at it and go, why didn't I do this? And then I'll be honest, I don't tend to repaint things apart from those shields I did last week, which wound me up, and then I painted repaint the whole lot. But I don't say plateau. I think sometimes I can be lazy with my painting, and then or I'll, because I've got so many paints, or there'll be an effect and I'll look at it and go, well, why didn't I do that? You know, that would look cool. Or worst of all, as you see someone else and they've done it, and you say, okay, I was going to do that, and that looks really cool. I think you're always able to learn. I really do, and there is a very different. I think it's a very different process to painting fantasy miniatures than it is from painting historical miniatures. The approach is different. Obviously, the techniques you're using will obviously be the dry brushing, layering, whatever, but the approach is very different. I don't know if Dom, if you approach painting a badger the same way you do a British line infantryman from Waterloo, but when I'm doing fantasy stuff, I just tend to sort of just have at it. I just kind of just start throwing colors on and see what works, and I have an idea in my head, whereas obviously with historicals I like to find a color palette or something that's going to match and a point of reference. I don't really do that with made up stuff, because I don't see what even when I'm painting the Raven Guard or the Dark Angels, even though I know they're black, but I was like, well, how can I make that look a little bit more interesting, or how can I make this look? So I always think there's ways to learn.
See, I almost have, I've mentioned this before, but I always have a bit more challenge with the fantasy stuff because I don't have that reference.
Yeah.
So for me, the uniform is great because I go, right, that looks like X, so I'll do it like that. And I can look it up and see, and variations on that, obviously. But yeah, the actual, I find them. So I know Robin's just said, what about the badgers? But I found the badgers actually kind of interesting because although they're obviously animals, they're wearing human clothes.
Yeah.
So I can look them up. So I can say what was a 18th century whatever was wearing, and at least I have an idea in my head what that would look like. So I actually find that kind of doesn't mean I don't spend hours looking at how to paint badger fur or look at different color tones and whatever. For
I've got to when I'm painting burrows and badgers, my internet search history just goes off the charts. Marmot fur patterns, great stuff.
It is interesting what comes up sometimes, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, so that's definitely that I find that really hard. I've still got those bloody elves that Graham, if he wasn't swanning around on holiday, would remind everybody yet again. I still haven't painted a whole load of elves that I've got because I just don't know what to do with them, and that's the truth. I'm a bit scared by them.
Robin says you're a button count of a well-dressed stoat. I
like my stoats to look accurate.
Well, when I talk about like peaking or plateauing, I was looking back at some stuff that I painted in would have been 2009, I just moved into my old place, and I wasn't really into that. I wasn't really gaming. I was just painting. And I was just working through a few things. And back then, I could paint faces really well. I had a couple of space wolves that I painted, and the detail was just phenomenal. I mean, looking back, I can't believe it's me that painted them because they were that good. Because now I absolutely suck so much.
Why do you think you lost
faces. That? I don't know. I do not know. It's just something.
But
I
it
lost.
does. The quality of the sculpt, and it does matter. I had a nightmare with some that but also things can be over-engineered. With cheekbones and dimples, and it all goes wrong. Or you get mold line, some of the older metals, they're not even mold like, you just get little bobbles, and you just kind of go, right, highlight on the head, highlight on the nose, top of the cheeks, done. And then you'll get something, because like the Warlord Games heads, generally I find, are, because they're slightly oversized, you can get some really nice expressions painted on them, and that's one of the few things in the Gallic Wars project where I'm actually bothering to go back and just add a little bit here and there to get them to come out. So you say like you suck at faces, but or you feel like you do now, but do you think that's something to do with the models you paint, or are they the same models?
These were all Games Workshop plastics, and they always have, especially the Space Marine figures, they always have quite detailed faces. Like when I was painting a couple of years back, when I was painting those Heresy Marines, okay, they got the standard, bald Space Marine with scar or thing on his face, but I was quite happy with the way, even though they're quite basic, I was quite happy with the way that they turned out. But it's just a weird thing looking back, that I don't know whether I lost that skill or I just went many years without painting faces and just sort of.
Do you have a? Sorry, this might be jumping ahead. Do you have a painting, not necessarily a technique, or just something that you discovered that changed everything about maybe a certain aspect? Like, I don't know, maybe the way you do, say, metallics or fur or something like that. Have you ever just found something and gone, you added it once and you're like, that's just changed everything completely for how I do this?
For me, it's not paint, it's basing. It was when I made those cork bases.
Oh yeah.
They started off as just, would it work? And so I tried it on those Desert SAS I did about 3-4 years ago. And I love the effect so much that where I can now, I base all my fingers on cork. But it's just something that I know it works, and it does enhance the overall look of a miniature. They say bases and faces. Yeah. And I think a good cork base for me is just something that I did come across by accident. I didn't think it was going to work, but they're so easy to do as well. But yeah, that's something that is a go-to now, that I'm really happy that I stumbled across.
What about you, Dom? Is there anything you've sort of just gone like you didn't, and then you did it once, and you're like, do you know what, this is obviously
how pathetic is this? So the thing that was a real eureka moment for me was discovering that Army Painter wash stuff, the deep shade stuff.
Oh yeah,
where you dropped it in the can, or you tried not to, but invariably did. That to me, it suddenly became like, holy shoot, I can actually have my crappy painting actually look half decent. And that was a huge step. And because I'd never done that before. Nobody had ever taught me how to do that before. And it was suddenly like, bloody hell, I can do this.
Do they still sell that stuff? The stuff in the cans? In the cans? Where you get like a wrench and you're going like this to like heck that off, and then you pray the temperature doesn't change as they're curing.
Yeah. And it stinks like bejesus. Yeah, they still do it, and they do it in different colors as well, don't they? So, yeah, that was a definite winner for me. And then I think the next stage was then thinking, okay, so then obviously I moved away from them mainly because of the stink, but started to use all the other washes that are out there. But then suddenly realizing, you know what, I can paint on top of that afterwards. So I can do that and then highlight it afterwards. And I, again, just never really thought about it. I was just lazy. So it's definitely laziness was my main thing. But yeah, it was lazy techniques.
Yeah, it just reminded me, I think I mentioned it the other week, Magic Wash, clear full polish. And I painted, over one weekend, I painted so many Flames of War bases. it was like some kind of alchemy. I was like, how come it's taking me weeks to paint like 9 bases, and this weekend I've painted almost 50. And it was just really just white prime, and then this magic wash with a bit of brown.
Yeah,
fantastic. I had a whole Sikh army in a weekend. It was brilliant. So yeah,
I know. I mean, mine's a little bit more specific, but I think I talked about it before. But simply adding a thin down grey wash to the top of bald heads.
Oh yeah.
Or
yes, you did.
Or 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock shadow, just to get a difference in the units, because there's only so many heads you can have in a unit, and just doing that. Well, no, this guy, I've got a guy here who's right on a horse who's a baldy. He's gonna get it. And it just completely changed things for me. And now I find myself stopping myself doing it, because like, no, hang on, I've already done it to a couple of other models. Let's leave this one like your Brenner, and we'll move on to we'll do it on a couple of others. But for me, that was when in painting faces and skin tones and things like that. Just adding in that completely changed things for me. And that was quite a while ago that I did that. And now it's just such a simple thing. You can build up a couple of layers. You could use I use Space Wolves Grey to contrast.
Oh yeah.
But I water it down a bit, and then I put a little bit on, let that dry a little bit more, and go right. Yeah, now he looks appropriately disheveled. I think that was it. That was my sort of change.
It's an interesting one from Martin. So Agrax Earthshade was a game changer for me. Me too. But I was about to say, is there a technique that you used to use in the past that you don't use anymore? And mine will be Agrax.
You stopped using it, didn't you? Yeah.
I used it for years. I like Dom said with the army painted dip. The first time I used Agrax, and I went from having a semi-decent looking figure to one that it was all shaded for me. I was like, that's why they call it liquid talent.
Yeah.
And I relied on that for years. Every bolt action army, I was like, yeah, paint it basic, get the fire extinguisher worth of Agrax Earthshade out, drown the entire figure. And then there was that incident, a few incidents where it was coming out as a funny finish. It was coming out as shiny, and loads of people were complaining about them changing the recipe. And I moved away from that. And even now, it's very rare that I apply a wash to an entire figure. I would rather be a bit more accurate with the washes. Like you're using a brush to drop them into creases or folds, and that's why when I was painting those. Bolt action British and US infantry. That's how I paint. They took an awful lot longer doing it that way, rather than just blasting it with a great big deluge of Agrax. But I feel I'm a better painter now, moving away from that, not just drowning all my figures in Agrax constantly. The weird thing is, when I'm painting those Landsknechts, they do get a bit of a wash all over, but it's not Agrax. It's I don't make it the week. It's a mix of black and sepia, really watered down. And all it's intended to do is to drop into the recesses, so that the brighter colours can then they pop a bit more with that dark wash. But when I'm painting bolt action, any bolt action figures now, I don't wash them in their entirety. When I was doing those DAC a couple of years back, God, I must have been asked about a million times, how exactly I went about painting them, and I just said the main thing for me, that the biggest thing was using that darker wash and actually dropping it in yourself rather than just getting a big brush and slapping it all over. And it's made me approach painting a slightly different. Now I'm not using that. It's made me approach painting in a completely different way.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
The thing I've stepped away from for a long time, and I've bought back for the Gallic Wars, is dry brushing. I used to dry brush a lot. Everything. Armor, chainmail, fur. Basically everything to get my highlights. And do you remember I used to use deck tan all the time to add a rough and ready look to everything, because deck tan was this really nice neutral color that when it was applied right, you could just get this nice worn effect across everything. And then I just stopped about 2 or 3 years ago, not long after I think I finished the bulk of the wars. I just kind of stopped doing it, and I think that's because I'd moved on, and I didn't want to sort of dull the models down a little bit. And then I just found I just stopped doing it. I carried on doing it for scenery because it's quick and easy. And then I realized, like, for the Crusades, I haven't done it. For the Zulu stuff, I haven't done it. There was a. I'm just looking around there. I just hadn't done it across anything, and I've actually made like a conscious decision with the Gallic stuff to get through the Gauls as quickly as I am. I dry brush the skin. I just do dark oak contrast over all the skin, which is what I'm doing right now. Then I'll come back over that with a mid-tone flesh layer, and just dry brush it on, and that's the flesh done. That's it. And because Steve, you don't really do dry brushing, do you?
No. The only thing I dry brush is vehicles. And it doesn't matter what scale, whether it's 15 mil, 20 mil, or 28 mil. I dry brush vehicles because I think it's an easier way. I dry brush camouflage on though. Takes bloody ages.
Yeah,
but people have said it looks like, well, from a distance, it looks like I've airbrushed it on. It does take. I mean, that tiger that I did the other week, I think it took me about an hour and a half to put the camouflage on that, and I was just using one. I was using bronze green and then adding tinier bits of khaki and white, and then using makeup brushes to dry brush it on. But actually, on infantry, no, I don't. I can't remember the last time I did actually. No, I can't remember the last time I actually used dry brushing on sort of single miniatures, vehicles and scenery. Yeah, absolutely. But not for infantry now.
I was probably the same. I that was one thing I used to. You probably remember, not that long ago. I used to be quite obsessive with dry brushing everything, and I don't use it very often anymore. And I'm not sure why I stopped doing it, but I did. And okay, like you, Steve, I do use it on vehicles because I think it just works beautifully. But very rarely do it on figures anymore.
Yeah,
very rarely. Odd.
No, I remember years ago, man. My first Blood Bowl teams in 1994, they would dry brushed within an inch of their lives.
Yeah.
Every single figure was dry brushed. I think back then, though, I think when I first learned about dry brushing, it was like a eureka moment. It was like, my God, these figures look so much better. Because the first time I'd seen it was my mate Ian. He'd done in a dark elf army, and they were black, but they were dry brushed, and they looked beautiful. The way he'd done it was just fantastic. Just had this uniform look across every single unit. I thought I would have tried that. So I tried it on my early Blood Bowl teams, and they were. I can't remember what I used to dry brush Space Marines all the time to get that sort of look on the edge of the armor. But I can't remember when I stopped actually properly using it. There must be a reason for it. I must have like done something and completely cocked it up.
Yeah.
That just led me to another thing, right? I don't know whether it's just me and my OCD ways, but if you've been working on a not a unit as such, imagine like a commander or a vehicle, something you're putting a bit of time into, and you get to the end of your painting session and it's not quite where you wanted it to be. Does that bug you until you can get back to the table and fix it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even for me, it does. Yeah.
Because
So
go on, Martin.
I was going to say, because I know in my head what I want it to look like, and I'll be thinking about it, and it just annoys me. And for me, it's things like coats of arms. I'll have sat there and I need to see it finished. I can't. Doing Warwick's was hell. Not because it's got 16 different quarterings or whatever it is, because the way I do coats of arms, I break them down into shapes. So first of all, I'll layer it white, for example. Then I'll do the blue band across it. Then and I just sit there and go, no, I want to finish the whole thing. But also I will sit there and feel like, oh, that hasn't quite worked. I wonder if I can just. So it'll be a case of, well, do you want a cup of tea? So I'll go down and boil the kettle while the kettle's boiling. I'll be sitting here, just like, I'm going to quickly have a go, and then Haley will be, where have you, where's the tea? And I've left it to stew for so long it's nearly walked out the house. So yeah, absolutely. I can't get it out of my head sometimes, which is
I do sometimes, not necessarily with a particular figure, but I'll often get to the stage with a unit where I think I just want to get this finished, and it's like gets to, I don't know, 12 o'clock or something, and I think I really must go to bed, but I just want I know that there's only about 5 belts to do, or a couple of this, that's the others to do, and invariably you find something else that needs doing, so then it just keeps going and going and going. But I will often do that. I'd much rather have the unit half done,
right,
and then just leave it.
Yeah, for me, it's if I know I've made a mistake and I've not, and I think, well, I've got to walk away now, otherwise I'll just compound that mistake.
Sometimes fresh eyes is the best way. Mine was the painting those 6mm samurai. The only thing that got me through that was solely so I could beat Ken. That was the only thing that got me through that. I was doing this about 3 a.m. Because I was going on a holiday, wasn't I? And he still did this. I beat him. Actually, he didn't do it, did it? I beat him. Thank you. I'm going to keep hold of that. That's the only benefit to painting those pissing things was I beat Ken. And I thought, oh no, I could go to bed. No, I'm gonna finish these. So what got me to finish those was the fact that I kind of wanted them out my life, because a bit like Steve and his Napoleonics, painting those was the single most excruciating experience of mine my entire life. And I've seen Nicolas Cage films, so that was like that was a long period of time. And then obviously the thought of Ken, because I wanted to. My original plan for them, was I'm going to highlight certain bits of the armor. Obviously, they're 6mm, so I'm not going to have to do loads. Highlight like blob on the top of the head, blob on that. Nah, even then, that was like no red contrast, flesh, face, done. Moved on, based them, and like I just the thought of beating Ken was all I needed to get through that.
I'm glad it's not just me, because sometimes I will. I'll finish for the night and I won't be quite satisfied with what I've done. I'll be in bed reading, thinking, I could do half an hour. No, you need sleep. And then sometimes I'll get up, and because I work from my painting desk on my break, sometimes I will paint on my break. If I need to fix something, I will use my break. I'll use my lunchtime sometimes to paint. Yeah. It's probably not a good idea, actually. But I don't know, it just something doesn't just sit with me right. If it's not, if I've now meshed something up, if not put something in the right place, or it's not the right color, or the right technique that I was aiming for, it really annoys me. It really does grind my gears.
I've just seen that. Sorry, I've only just seen that. I didn't even mention it. I haven't even brought it up. What I did do, when I did a video, week before last, and I was like, this is what's going on. It's a channel update, and the most common question was, what's happened to the Zulu Wars? And I sort of said to people, I was like, it was always a background project. I didn't write that putting together that rocket killed my enthusiasm for 3 months. For the Zulus.
Brilliant.
Right, so we move on to a bit of news, and then we'll come on. We've got quite a few starred comments to go through as well. There's been some good feedback from the crowd. So I think we've got news.
There's quite a lot of news, actually.
Oh, good stuff. I saw one that I'm quite interested in, so I'm looking forward to that. Right, music time.
Diddly-doo.
Not threatening in the slightest.
No.
So who's first? I've got none. I've got no news. No news whatsoever.
No news, Steve. Dom, you can go first if you like, Will.
All right, I'll go first. So our friend Reconquer showing off some of his new figures coming.
Yes.
It's
all
lovely.
Part of the scene. It's all part of another sort of. It would be really good as a unit, but it is I can't remember what it's depicting, but it is like a battle scene.
It's this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. It's a really cool little scene. As you say, he's doing some. This guy being dragged off Is great.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened to the picture I put up,
He-
but anyway, it's really good.
He's also been playing around with magnetizing his minis, and so you can swap. So I think he's not ready just yet, but he's going to be releasing. I don't know if they're going to come out on the Patreon, but he'll be releasing models with pre-designed magnet holes, so you can just drop the magnets in. And what he's doing on there is like shields on the backs. He was thinking about a more time warband, so you can change the loadout of what people want. He's got pre-drilled magnet holes in like the wrists, just so you can swap over the weapons. And he's been putting up some test videos. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, did look very clever. That's a bit. Now I've no idea what this is, but this was on the North Star.
Oh, Dungeons and this stuff just keeps on kind of appearing, and I get more and more intrigued every time.
I mean, I'm sure you boys who love your weird shit would love all this. Look at this.
It's just like here's a group of monsters. I mean, look at that thing at the bottom. We need one of those at CrackCon. Stop people coming in. Actually, no, don't stop people coming in. No, that's not.
No, stop them going out again.
That is such a random collection of
Isn't that weird?
stuff.
It's just
Unbelievable.
bizarre.
Have you got the? Did you get the flying? Yes.
Yeah, look at that.
That's awesome.
I mean,
These are all designed as, for RPGs. So you'd have that on there, and that'd be your airship. That's not small, that bloody thing. But that'd be great in so many games. I'm sure you could get that in Burrows and Badgers and have a Badger piloting it. You've got the pirate ones, haven't you, Dom?
Yeah, I have. We could have maybe want an eagle to fly it. I don't know.
Sky pirate weasels.
They're
Bizarre
really,
things.
really interesting looking.
There's a few more as well. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, then check out North Star, who seem to have it all at the moment. And the other one, so these two new characters went up for Test of Honor.
Oh yes, I saw the email today. This is great. I like it that he's just putting out single minis with a couple of cards.
Hojo clan, samurai, and then the Mori clan Una Musha.
I like that.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool.
So very good indeed. So yeah, I think that's all I saw. Over to you.
I've seen a few things, and most of mine are the weird and wonderful as well. Actually, I don't think there's any historicals in mine.
I haven't seen anything recently. No.
No. So, starting with Warhammer, and I only went for the Horus Heresy stuff because people seem to be more interested in the Heresy. There's loads of stuff that they're releasing with the New Age of Sigmar. And there's just so many pictures I couldn't put them up. But there's two characters from the Horus Heresy, and I quite like these models. So Steve, this is Shadrach Medicine, who's a Raven. Well, I think he's Raven Guard or Iron Warrior. No, he's Iron Warriors. I think they're not Iron Warriors. Iron Hands. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, he's Iron Hands. Is he Iron Hands?
I think he's Iron Hands.
He's either Iron Hands or Raven Guard. I can't remember which. But I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know how much this costs.
I really like that. There's just something I don't know.
Well, you said again about faces; they're very good. Yeah, I don't think even with the grenades and everything on the belt, it's not overdone.
It's not busy. It's not overly busy. He's got his skull necklace, but apart from that, there's not skulls everywhere.
Which I quite liked. It's pretty straightforward. And
it is.
I don't think he's wearing Terminator armor. I don't think he is, but he's pretty bulky for. I just quite liked it.
It's a really nice model.
That was a cool miniature. I don't know how much it is before anybody says how much. And then there was this one, which is Hibu Khan, so a White Scar.
Ooh.
Which is I think he. From what I understand, I think he sided with Horus and then went back to being good. I don't know. Anyway, so Dom will know the answer.
Dom.
I don't like that one as much as this one. I just think
I love that one. It's brilliant. I really do like that one.
That's up and just have. Then the Conquest, the Last Argument of Kings. The 38mm big minis.
The one that you keep going on about you're going to play and you still haven't. Yeah.
No. Yeah. It's just sitting there waiting. They've released new starter sets, and they seem to be doing this every year. So they just they're not up. Well, because the thing is, they update the rules all the time, but because the rules are free and the unit stats are free, doesn't really matter. So they've released some new warbands, and these are for First Blood, which is the skirmish version, but skirmish in the same way that Saga is. You're still looking at some units. You're not just talking 3 or 4 guys. So this is, I picked out 4 that I thought looked cool. This one, because I thought if Don was going to do any of them, it would be this one, which is the city states, which are sort of inspired by the Greeks.
Oh yeah, they're kind of fun, aren't they?
Because you kind of got that, and then it's like, here's a Minotaur.
Yeah,
because
I thought I could see him.
you have that. So that's quite nice. You get your quick start guide in there as well, and all the. I mean, like I said, I've been really impressed with what I've just got to sit down and get on with them. These are the Dweghom. So these are the dwarves, who I think look quite fun, with some kind of crazy stone robot thing. These are the orcs. Because who doesn't want a flock of dinosaurs? Aztec orcs.
Orky jungles. Good.
Oh my goodness.
And then these are the Nords, otherwise known as the Vikings. I quite like, if you can see this guy middle at the front, like the soothsayer kind of guy.
Yeah, you can use him in stuff.
He's a really nice model. So they've got these little start sets. There's about 8 of these for all the key factions.
Martin, put that last one up. Look at the tactical rock on that guy on the bottom row.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Wow.
That's a tactical rock and a half.
I like that.
Yeah. That is a... Apparently that model was... So they went and researched. That model steers £37 in Forge World resin.
Jesus.
Now I'm going to ask Steve, is it the thing I'm about to show now that you're interested in?
Is it a graph chart type thing?
Yes
it is.
Yes.
Right.
So a couple of weeks ago we shared the news, well, not as an exclusive, but the fact that Steamforged Games had bought War Machine. They'd bought Privateer Press, and they're already taking pre-orders. And I thought we were maybe going to be looking at 18 months.
Yeah, 18 months. Yeah, definitely.
But no, they're already taking pre-orders, and they've already got a release schedule, which you can go on and have a look on the Steamforged Games website. So there you go. Look, Kador, they've got it all sorted. It's all on there. So what they're doing, they've actually reduced the cost of the core sets by £10.
Hang on, they've reduced price.
Yeah. So War Machine always had this kind of the starter sets was always one Warcaster and a couple of Warjacks, or some little ones, and then because the whole emphasis is on big robots kicking the shit out of each other and a wizard controlling them, essentially. And then your infantry units are only supplemental to them. Your infantry units are never going to win the game. They're there to just sort of run interference. Yeah, they're there to die. So this for example is the Kador set. So that's the starter for them, is the Warcaster and then those 2 massive Warjacks. But what they've done for the add-ons, they're not, from what I can see or what I understand anyway, they're not releasing at the moment, I could be wrong, individual blisters. So Steve, do you remember how you buy no, they're releasing them as core expansions. So you would buy, for example, the Winter Guard expansion, you get all that in your, that'd probably be, whatever, like 80-90 quid or something, but you get all of those miniatures. You wouldn't just buy the Winter Guard unit or that Warjack that's like teeny tiny. You would buy that Winter Guard expansion, or you buy for Signar the Lightning Corps or the Cavalry expansion. You get quite a lot. Be interested to see if that works, if that's a way forward. So that was, for example, the Kador, and I picked out the Southern Cross because I don't remember the Troll. I remember Troll Blood units.
Yeah, they were in hordes, though, weren't they?
Yeah,
they could play. They were sort of.
But this is a War Machine warband. So there's these guys. What do you reckon to those, Dom? Would you?
What the?
His club is a swordfish, a hammerhead shark. Sorry, his club is a hammerhead shark.
That is brilliant.
What's he got in his other arm, though?
I think that's a tumor.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I'm not
Is it a
exactly. Oh no, it's an
squid?
octopus. No, I think he's squeezing an octopus. Maybe that's his range weapon. And then there's their expansion.
Oh,
You know, I am surprised how quickly they're
I
shipping
am.
that on.
like you said, I fully expected nothing in a minimum 12 months. But to be taking pre-orders now. So is there any news on the actual two player starter box?
I don't know. Flesh Cloud. He says the new edition merges War Machine and Hordes.
Oh, good.
Great.
Good.
Great. And then now just one system, because the only difference, wasn't it, in the old system was you had Focus for War Machine and was it Fury?
Yes.
In Hordes, and the damage chart in the Hordes was a spiral. And then the other one was systems, wasn't it? Arms, legs, and that. So I'm pleased to see it, because I do think it's a brilliant setting. We said this before.
Oh yeah.
I'll come on to that in a second. I'm just trying to see. War Machine. Paul says they're now expensive. I think the starter sets are 50 quid. I don't know. I think you'll have to have a look.
I think when I first started playing it, I think the rule book cost me 30 quid. And then I bought the
free a while ago. I remember.
I bought the Crick starter, and in that you got a Warcaster, two of the little bitey jack things. And and then like you said, you used to go out and buy the individual blisters like Slayers and Reapers.
Yeah.
You had the Mech and Thralls for Cricks. The Revenant crew came in a.
I collected Cricks, and then they sucked, so I sold them to my brother-in-law, and then got Signar and beat him with my Cricks. So I sold them.
Actually, my first faction was Signar, but then I saw Cricks and was like, they are so much cooler. I want to paint evil undead zombie thrall mech.
Do you know, there's still a model that I want to paint, and I've never bought it, and it's a War Machine model, and it's a Signar Warcaster, and I think he's called Jeremiah Cray, and he's on a horse, and it's just like this lonely guy on a horse, sort of looking sad in the saddle, but it came with this scenic base with and he's walking down. I have to find it. I don't know how he plays in the game. I was like, I really want to paint that. I got an idea for it. Something we have got to bring up, which Paul has also pointed out, is X-Wing and Star Wars Armada have been discontinued, which is has rankled a few people. But I think X-Wing kind of died for me with second edition.
Oh god, yeah.
Doesn't stop me playing old one, but you know.
When I sent the link to my mate who I played X-Wing with a lot back in the day, and he was like, "Oh, the development stopped." At what development? There was no development. It was just there was that initial cash grab at second edition.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, what's that?" I've spent the past 3 years amassing a small fortune on these ships, and now I've got to buy new cards. It's going to cost me £120 so I can keep playing the game. No. It doesn't surprise me that it's gone though, but it's just sad. It really is quite sad seeing it go like that.
Yeah. It's kind of gone out of a bit of a whimper, really, hasn't it? Not like
it did. I mean, the amount of people that I've spoken to in real life and on here about when second edition dropped, they just we stopped overnight. We never played second edition ever. We looked at the upgrades required. No, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying cards just to continue playing the game. So, no, we just stopped. It was a shame because, as I've mentioned it before, but that's the game. I dread to think how many hours I dropped into playing that game. Not just playing the game, but practicing the game as well. Doing my own little things to maneuvers, and testing out lists, and people put so much time and energy into that game. I know it's gone, and it's been gone for us for years. But to see,
I wonder if Legion's going to be far behind.
What's that?
They're actively in debate. Shatterpoint, but that sells really well.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's. I still don't. I love it that he's had time to go and do this. You've just made me fuck up my face, you bastard. Oh no! You just
I'm
made
sorry.
Paul look like
I
he's
have
in a
no idea what the
clockwork
last 10 minutes has been on about.
Dom, I thought you'd have been fully engaged in the War Machine chat.
orange. I could see Dom playing War Machine.
I can. It's okay. It's sort of, it is sci-fi fantasy, but it's that you don't need that many figures. I mean, Dom, you could probably
That's
paint
a
up
starting point. That's
Yeah,
good.
you could paint up a starting box in about 29 minutes.
Hmm.
But you don't play with that many figures at all, and it's not a nuanced game, is it? It's just let's all run towards the middle of the thing and punch the crap out of each other.
That's out of each other.
That's what it is, and that's why I enjoyed playing it. It was really really good. Right, is that it for news?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to some starred comments from our audience tonight. So, how many of you would still paint miniatures even if you never go into war game again? Well, I think Martin, you said before you'd still paint, didn't you?
I would, but I'd change what I wouldn't be painting units unless it was to show off.
No.
I'd be painting dioramas and scenes and things like that. They're like, but you know how what Paul does, Mackay, with like his last standard or Plantagenet and that kind of stuff. Moments from history, I'd do stuff like that.
Dom?
I think I would quite happily pack my. For all I said that I've enjoyed it, I would actually pack my paints away and be quite happy. It crossed my mind a little while ago when I was in some sort of illusion with myself that I would, almost got to the end of my projects and I wouldn't be buying many more. And I thought, what will I do with all my time? I thought that's okay. I'll throw my paints away.
Sorry, we're not laughing. We had to share this. We just had to share this from Paul. Shatterpoint sounds like a very dicey toilet moment. I mean, he's not wrong.
He's probably not wrong, to be fair, from what you say. Yeah, so no, I would genuinely quite happily stop if I didn't do any gaming, because what's the point, really? I don't paint well enough or enjoy the painting process enough to do what you guys do and create dioramas and little vignettes or anything like that. It's purely if it wasn't going on the table, there's no point.
I think if I wasn't going to game, I would probably quit 28mm and move up to sort of 1/35th scale modeling, because that's something I really really want to try, because I've never really painted that scale, but I don't know whether it be to the detriment of my 28mm stuff, so I use that enough for gaming and stuff. And
this was the man who was scared of doing the bust.
I did my bust.
Yeah, no, you were scared about doing it.
I was terrified, and it was so heavy it hurt my wrist. It was very, very heavy. I don't know. I think, it's an interesting question. If it wasn't a war game again, I think I'd branch out into proper scale modeling. It's something I like the idea of, especially the big tanks, or that you can buy 5 or 6 figures at 1/35th. Quite a bit of detail on them, but now it's just not something that I want to do now. I think I'll do it at some point, but not now. So Matt started with D&D Citadel as well, probably in enamels to start with before discovering acrylics.
Definitely.
Yes, I think the word enamel has definitely cropped up a lot in chat tonight.
I remember being at the club one week, many moons ago, and somebody coming down and talking about acrylic paints, and everyone going, "What are they? They're water." And they're water based. And so, well, how does that work then? That's not going to work. They're going to be, that will never catch on.
I've actually got a load of enamels done here. My best mate, for some reason, he acquired a load of Airfix planes, and he's just not into that. And when I opened them, it came with Humbrol enamels.
They were the thing.
Didn't open them. The smell was always horrific. Paul, hardest job in the world for 40 years, man and boy. So Ben, 1975 Airfix World War II and some ACWs in the back of a comic book.
So I probably did Airfix before my D&D stuff, but I wouldn't necessarily count them as painted, because it was literally like, these are British, red. These are French, blue. These are Prussian, blacky. I don't know what they were, but whatever. Yeah, that was the kind of process. It wasn't really painting.
Most of my
At
air
least I
fix,
tried.
most of my air fix was in '91, the first Gulf War, and like air fix's profits went through the roof because everyone was buying tornadoes and helicopters and stuff. I had a tornado, a helicopter, loads of air fix stuff. One for Mark.
Careful, you get Paul Hicks all excited again. Careful.
I know, yeah, so think about
Talking
that.
about planes. Stop it.
Here's one for you, Dom. You care about painting as long as it's not French.
Oh no, I'll paint French. Just I could have something to kill.
Red Steph, Airfix Waterloo was my start point 50 years ago.
Wow, there you go.
I take it that would have been what 1/72nd scale.
1/72nd, yeah, it would have been. Yeah. They were classics. And actually, the buildings for Le Haye-Saint and things were fantastic. Really good.
I bet you got quite a lot in that box, though, didn't you?
Probably. I can't remember. I don't think I ever had the actual box set because it was big and it was quite expensive. I mean, nothing like it is today, but it was quite a lot of money from what I remember. I couldn't afford it.
So Paul started painting Airfix Napoleonic Brits with humble enamels back in the 1970s. There's definitely a theme. Humble enamels and Napoleonics in the 70s. Yeah.
I don't know how many brushes we went through with the old enamels.
Oh, no.
You could never, I mean, you'd leave them in turpentine or whatever it was overnight and then clean it, with under the tap and wash it down. It still bloody was dirty. Just, I don't know. Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm terrified to experiment in case I forget I'm using acrylic and stick the brush in my mouth. And having to try and explain to A&E what's happened to me. Marky Sparky, late start of the hobby, and I've only been playing and painting for about 8 years. But I can see I've progressed my painting in that time. I enjoyed painting as much as playing. Absolutely. I would definitely agree with you there. I know I've said it, but sometimes with painting for me, it's just at a really busy day. You just fancy 2-3 hours a night, sit down, bit of music, and just paint for the sheer enjoyment of it. That's what I do with Burrows and Badgers figures. I just paint them for the utter enjoyment of them. So Andy from Friends of General Hague, I finally got to a point that I completely prefer acrylics to enamels. I may get rid of my enamels hoard. Failing eyesight means I think my older figures are better. I mean, it's an interesting point. Do you think sometimes your older figures are better?
Different. I tell you what, I have noticed that they're not as bad as I remember them being. I'll open up a box of figures, and I think that I know were painted 25 years ago or more, and then I think, oh god, these are going to be absolutely horrible. And then I look at them and think, actually, no, they're okay. Not actually that bad. I mean, I could do better now, but they were. Yes, I don't know. But generally, no. They're definitely better now, but not as bad as I feared.
Well, the other week when I was doing those Fallschirmjäger, I went through because I've got loads of ball hacks and German stuff, and some of them are just atrocious. Some of them look like I painted them using my feet. I don't know what I was thinking. I really don't. I was using this really odd flesh tone back then, and they all look really ill. There's not. I know they say war's hell, but you don't want to be depicted on your figures' faces. I know sometimes think we are our own worst critics when it comes to.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah.
Figure painting. But yeah, some of them I'm just embarrassed about, and I would never ever show. Trevor, he started painting back in the 1980s with basic Citadel paints. Now painting has improved thanks to contrast and speed paint, which is the only paint I use. Yeah, I mean, do you think that as with the advent of contrast and speed paints and express paints, do you think that's got more people sort of invested in their painting because they can do it quickly?
Yeah, I think it in a way, but I don't think it's made. I think people have obviously. Well, yes, you're right. Yes, I suppose there's whenever you. If you put up a video and you do I've spent X amount of time painting this, someone will always say, you usually get a comment along the lines of, that's really nice. I like, look at it, it's come out it's come out nice, but I want to paint things quickly. Because I've got a whole army of these things to paint. So yes, for the sort of the battle ready kind of stuff, I think people have becoming, invested in it. And now that all the companies have put out their own version of it, it's kind of a buyer's market, isn't it? On which one, you might like Gilliman Flesh from Citadel, but you prefer the red that Vallejo do, or the I can't remember what the army painted ones, the speed paints. They're speed paints, aren't they?
Yeah, speed paints.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's funny enough. I had a comment on the Numidian video I put up about somebody saying, "Well, you're a historical gamer and you're using contrast paints." Like,
I saw that. Yes, I saw that.
Weird, yeah, because they speed things up, which is why I use them. So, I think generally the sort of improvement in the ranges of paint, the quality of the paint. Talk about enamels. They were fairly blunt weapons, weren't they? Really, in some ways. I know people got very good at mixing them and doing things, but for the average painter, it was pretty blunt tool to use. And I think the thing about contrast or speed paints of any description is that they allow you to get a reasonable standard without a huge amount of effort. And to Martin's point, get them done quickly, and that's the huge advantage they've given people.
I barely use them. I own a few. I can't remember. I mean, I bought a box of the Army Painter speed paints last year when I was doing that Horus Heresy stuff, and I hated the results. I went back to my old technique. I went back to just normal painting. Didn't like them. I think it's because I'm not used to using like a light undercoat. I just did not like the results. So I've barely used them.
That's one thing nobody's talked about yet, but the undercoat stuff. I think that for me has been a major epiphany. Painting is suddenly using different colors. So particularly if you're trying to do things quickly, starting with a color that's appropriate to the figures you're going to finish with. So if you're doing red based figures, British infantry or something in small scale, spraying them red paint, and then just then you're 90% there. You've only got to do a little bit of a wash and pick out the other colors, and pretty much done. So that's been a huge thing. And I know people talk incessantly about the different, whether it should be black or it should be white undercoats, but the fact you all do different ones is interesting. And then the whole zenithal highlighting bit as well has definitely improved things.
I've been priming or basing in brown for years now. It's always a mixture of brown and green. It's just something I've done for ages. I don't like painting over a black prime, and over white just gives me chest pains, so I don't like it. It just doesn't. It invariably looks like utter trash when I've done it anyway. Carl, Airfix tanks about 50 years ago, probably started proper war game in 79, 1980. Again, Airfix, really, really popular.
Very much so.
So, Martin, his first two figures were under 25mm Napoleon Wellington bought while I took to London in the early 70s. Painted with perhaps a max of 4 enamel colours. I mean, I don't remember. With enamel paints, was there a big range?
Oh, yeah. Well, certainly later on, there was massive range. In fact, if you still go into something like Hobbycraft, you can probably see half of it still there.
The hobby shop in town here has a whole wall of stuff. There's loads.
I'm really interested who still uses them. Is it? I mean, I know there's a few diehard gamers that do still use it, but is it the Paul? Is it all the model plane enthusiasts and that sort of thing that use it most? Because I always wonder, because you go into the model shops and, like you say, you'll see loads of the stuff, and yet I don't know. I know no more than a handful of people who actually still use enamels for their painting. So I'm interested. I wonder who uses them still.
So David, Airfix kits first, including the ubiquitous Spitfire, then soft plastic ACW troops and HO scale. I remember when I was a kid going to our local hobby store, and you used to go in, right, like back of the shop, far right was just the 172 scale of Airfix, Matchbox, etc. Shelf after shelf after shelf. I used to love going in there so much.
Do you know, when rare occasions I find a model shot like that, because there aren't that many, unfortunately, around, certainly not around here anymore. I still, even though I haven't done one of those for years, I still love just looking at them. I just go and look at just amazing. And I'm I'm not a modeler in any sense at all. But I'm fascinated. I just love. I think it's the box art and that sort of nostalgia for me of seeing them all. Just love it.
Yeah, it is good seeing them. To just bring back memories. So Dan started with D&D models when he was a kid. Started playing Warhammer Fantasy right after college in '95. I did 40k soon after. Played and painted non-stop until 2012. Good man. Don. So his paint's come a long way. He's never going to be great at it, but I'm happy with the outcomes now. And I don't hate the process, which I did before I started watching the PCP. I mean, that's an interesting thing. Is that I mentioned before about being your own worst critic, but when I've spoken to people in comments and stuff, I always say to them, if you're putting paint on figures, you're already winning. You're already ahead of a lot of people that don't. I've got no interest in painting at all, and yeah, I mean, it's just. I mean, even now, I mean, I paint a lot of figures. I don't like them. I just think they're just done because I wanted them done. But I think in the modern age of sort of social media and YouTube, and I suppose it can be a bit of a double-edged sword seeing other people's work, because it can inspire you, and then you think, well, that's infinitely better than I could ever do. I'm off to throw my stuff away and quit the hobby completely.
Yeah, I do sometimes worry about that myself. I just think, that's why I quite like Flying the Flag for Mr. Average, because I just think you do see some amazing works of art and you think, oh my, and then somebody do a video about doing it, how they painted them, and you think, I still have no idea how you did it that well. I just not possible.
For me, that was. There was a point where someone at work was wanting to get into it, and they'd watched all these painting tutorials, and they thought they had to go and buy an airbrush. There was 40k stuff they were getting into, and they wanted to do and I think it was probably about, I don't know, maybe about 8 years ago, and I just remember that the airbrush. Fair enough, all the pro painters use airbrushes. That's totally cool, but there seemed to just be this period where everyone's like, if you want to do it, you have to, you use an airbrush, you get all that kit. And I remember obviously when these tutorials, they didn't have any of those, and that's that wasn't a thing. Obviously airbrushes existed and people used them for scale modeling. But as soon as they started using them on marines, to get those shades on flat surfaces, to get the color gradients, I did notice that there was more and more people kind of thought that you had to do that. I mean, Ken's done it. Do you remember Ken when he was babbling on about airbrushing like the French? And I said to him, if you carried on doing that, because it's just like it looks like it's taken ages. If I know he gave up after one unit.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, that's why I think shout out for people like Stu, Miniature Realms, and I think also, oh God, what's his name? The sort of people who do videos where they'll get to a point and they'll go, that's good enough now for most people. If you paint up to this point, Cludden paints, he does the same. And he'll say, but I'm now going to do some additional stuff that you might want to think about if you want to take it to the next level. And I think that's a really good way of doing it, because I watch some of the others and I think, oh my goodness, there's no way I'll be able to paint like that.
Yeah. Exactly. No, I think it's the thing with the airbrush. I think I had an airbrush. I just feel that it would be very easy for people to watch painting video from like the massive GW centric channels and think I've got to get an airbrush. It helps. It's another tool. But if you're just starting out in the hobby, just go.
Oh God, no!
A rattle can. I think what you can do is amazing, and and Stu shows and what you can do with an airbrush really, really well, and with the undercoat. I think that's brilliant. But again, if you're just starting out, just go grab a rattle can.
No. That just leads us on to this next comment from Fish Frenzy. So being able to get tips, see motivational pics on YouTube and Google has massively helped bring a lot of people's skills up. Absolutely. Like I mentioned earlier, when I first got into the hobby, my only sort of frame of reference or motivation was White Dwarf. That was it, or the Rogue Trader rulebook. But these days, like I found myself spending time on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, just looking at the stuff that people are producing, and some of it it's just mind blowing at times. The stuff that people are producing. But conversely, I like watching people who are videos with people who are just getting into the hobby. And sometimes I find them more inspirational than the proper award-winning pro painters. I think seeing someone fairly new to the hobby and their enthusiasm for it and the different techniques that they're using, I think that definitely goes a long way as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said I think you should look at multiple. I like looking at all sorts of different painting tutorials and videos, because I just think you pick up. I know I've picked up little things from, even if I wouldn't do somebody's, try whatever approach to painting eyeballs on the figure, there'll be something in the way that they've done something. And I think, oh, that's a clever idea. Or I like the idea of how they've used those different colors. So I think that's kind of, I definitely look at lots of videos, even if I don't.
That's what I like. So sometimes, because I watch 90% of my YouTube on my telly. And I'll be flicking through and just like a random channel that I've never heard of will pop up, and I'll be like some hobby update. I think let's check them out. And it's just it's good when you discover something like that. It really. I remember a couple of years back, what was it? I was painting something. I was looking at a lot of things. I watched 4 videos from the same channel. I thought these are really interesting. And when I checked, they hadn't made a video for 3 years. I was like, oh, right, that's the end of that then.
Yeah, I won't bother subscribing to that one then.
Here's an interesting one from Roger and Matt. They've both got the same thing. So Matt had a long break, the lockdown, got him back into it. He doesn't think he's missed a day painting since, apart from when he's on holiday. And Roger, lockdown got me going again. I mean, it was a pretty miserable time, but from the hobby, made so many new friends through it. I mean, this happened.
This whole thing started because of lockdown. Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, prior to that, even though I had a YouTube channel, I didn't feel sort of part of the community. If that makes sense. I was knocking out videos, and I wasn't really using Instagram. I wasn't really using Facebook a lot. But lockdown, I think for many people was that sort of impetus, that sort of starting point to either get back into the hobby or to try it as something completely new.
And it's hard to sort of justify the fact it was anything other than a shit time for a lot of people. But I do think for gaming, it had a right old leap forward. No, I think.
I mean, that first period, I got to know so many people. I was chatting to so many people through lockdown. It was just, So Fleshclad, I've peaked because I can't be bothered to paint to that standard anymore. I can do all the glazes and fancy shit, but why? Do display piece once in a while, and then tabletop from there. Exactly.
And it's a man with my.
It's good that people have. It's good that people have got that they. I think everyone's got that mindset of what they want on the tabletop, what they want out of it. Because it'd be really dull if we were all doing the same thing. It really would be. So Paul, definitely plateaued now. He's found a style I'm happy with. I'm not really interested in learning new techniques anymore. Yep. Fair play. Red Sven, first minute to paint a goblin from the Advanced Hero Quest paint set. Never really progressed much until uni. Bretonian Knight from Warhammer Quest was the first time I felt real progress. I think it is good when you can see that you are making progress with your painting. I think it definitely inspires you to paint.
Well, just when something comes out, how you had it in your head.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. The brain is working. I do know what I'm talking about. Mine is when it comes to color combinations, and in my head, I'm going, yeah, totally. That'll work. You look at it, go, that looks horrific. This is why Haley doesn't let me decorate. But then occasionally you'll get one. Mine was the blue, the samurai, the blue and sort of tan yellow, and now I don't want to paint. I'm scared to do different colors now because I was like, I know where I am now, and I know I can make those look good, and I'm scared to do them any other way. But I can't have the opposition in the same colors just because it'll on the battle reports, I need them in a different color. So I'm now there going, I need a different, combination that will look just as good.
It's an interesting one. How often do you guys go into a model with a goal rather than letting it flow? So do you know what you want it to look like? For me, you have that image in your head, and you want the finished model to be as close to that mental image as possible.
I mean, for me, roughly, yes, because I'll be following some, kind of historical guide. So, roughly, I know what it looks like. Whether it actually comes out, I mean, still they look like Quasimodo or had some sort of stroke when you painted the faces, but they still, kind of roughly what I expected to come out of them. So yeah, I think 9 times out of 10. It's different, I think, if you, like I said before, if you're painting fantasy or sci-fi or something where you have to try and create something that's completely out of your imagination, or I think that's different.
I think with scenery, I do like this thing which I'm kind of working, off and on. I had a goal, and it's actually because in my head I could see the end result through the horrific process of building this piece of shit, and it's actually it's coming together how I hoped. So yes, I had a goal in mind for this, and it's getting there, and I'm now much more confident to carry on with it. Since I'm just kind of slapping paint on it when stuff is done, although the thatch still looks shit. I don't care. I'm going to be using some teddy bear fur on that. I just haven't selected which of the girls' teddies is going to be sacrificed to the wargaming gods, so that I can have a nice roof on my building. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure they won't notice.
You should have done it on Father's Day. They couldn't have stopped doing it then, couldn't they?
If I skinned one of their soft toys when they're awake, Robin is in my daughter. Robin will skin me. This is the same girl who, when she meets Robin, as in Robin I play against, I say, who's that? I say, that's Robin, and she goes, that's not me. I know it's not, and she has this very Highlander mindset of there can be only one.
Only one.
So she's not gonna give up her soft toys easily.
Brilliant.
I think with me, if I'm doing sort of a military unit, so bolt action, what have you, I have that. I in my head, I think I know what I want them to look like. Dom said based on the uniform. If I'm doing something like Turnip 28 or some weird kit bashing for Space Waders for the Doomed, I have absolutely no idea how they're going to turn out. I just sit down. I'm usually covered in sprues and bits boxes everywhere, and I just spend hours seeing if things fit. Will that go there? And I mean, I think the perfect
example, viewers, he's high on weird beers and sniffing super glue, actually, which is what creates all those weird things.
I think. Remember that last was it last year when I made that stump gun for Turnip, and it's just a gun sticking out of a pile of crap. There's like skulls and arms and stuff. Yeah. I don't know. I was just messing around with that, and I thought, right, that'll go there. And I thought, hold on a second, how about the gun sticking out of a midden pile or something? So it was just. And then I thought, well, let's put some skulls and arms in there now. And yeah, that I had no idea how that was going to finish. And I
refer you to my earlier comment.
I probably terrified myself mildly the way that turned out. Barking Crow painting. Painting belts drives me crazy. Where do you even highlight and shade such a small surface? And this is why I don't enjoy Napoleonics. Too many belts.
Yeah, true. There
are too many belts. I'm just painting belts at the minute. This is also why cavalry annoy me, because there's just harnesses and things.
Oh God! I just was doing some mounted longbowmen, and they had more bloody strappings on them than I think any knight I've ever had. And I think you're frigging mounted longbowman.
When I do my first cavalry figure, when Ragged Staff has its first cavalry figure, I'm going to make sure there's straps flying in all directions, just so I can get revenge. Just get revenge.
Yeah, but you're going to have to paint one, aren't you, to show it off?
Yeah, but it's a bit. Yeah, it's true, actually. That's a good point. You have to pay extra if you want if you don't want one without the harness.
You want the supported or unsupported, literally the horse. Yeah.
It's an interesting one from John. What I've improved on recently is getting away from being discouraged with the ugly phase. I used to get discouraged a lot at the point where they're half done and look shoddy. Yes, in fact, there was a a video from Tabletop Minions last month about the ugly phase and how to conquer that, because sometimes that can put people off. I mean, I know I can get quite discouraged when you look at something and think, my God, this looks absolute garbage. But you just know it's a phase you've got to get through before you get to the finished models. But it can be a bit of a progress sort of killer. Definitely demotivational.
That's definitely something you learn with experience, isn't it? It's like that phase where you just think, oh my goodness, this looks horrible. Then you drop it in the sheep dip or whatever it is, or you blots it with liquid talent, and it suddenly comes out. You think, oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
Although sometimes when I used to use Agrax, I used to put the wash on and go, right, I'm going to the living room for an hour. I don't want to even look at them. I want to be pleasantly surprised when I come back and they're looking about 1,000,000 times better than they were an hour ago. Here's one from James. Can that be a challenge at CrackCon? Paint a starter box with Dom in 29 minutes. That's interesting. War Games Hobby. Dom converted me to contrast paints. I use nothing else now.
I did. I do remember having that discussion with him down the club one week. That was, and Alec hasn't looked back.
A couple of comments from Mike here. So we started about 55 years ago with air fix and enamel paint. Wet palettes, glaze, and using good quality brushes are what lifted my game most. I would say about brushes. I know I did my experiment last year where I moved away from my usual brand and no, didn't work. I went back to they're expensive, but they work.
What brand was that you tried out against, Steve?
I didn't mention the brand, because if I do, Yorkshire Ken will hunt me down and commit misery upon my person.
He'll force feed you Yorkshire puddings until you're dead. It's Yorkshire waterboarding. That's what it is.
Or just Aunt Bessie's
they'll best you to death.
Get to gravy.
Oh yeah, the gravy comes out, and then you're in real trouble.
So Mike said he gets slow as he gets older. I take my time and aim for a better finish. When I was young, it was all about getting as many figures painted in the shortest. Yes, absolutely agree with that. I mean, even for me, even 5-6 years ago, I was flying through bolt action units just to get them finished. Whereas now, when I'm working on bolt action infantry now, I do 2-3 at a time max, just so I can concentrate on them. Because I don't like flying through figures anymore. I really don't. Right, so let's have a look at some of our viewers' photographs. So as always, these have been grabbed from the Facebook group. Hope they're still here. Yes, they are. Or are they? Yes, they're here.
Nice.
Right. I thought StreamYard had screwed me over then. Right, so so these are from the Facebook group. If you're not a member, womble across to the link in the description below. Answer Dom's questions 3, and ye shall be admitted entrance. Again, it's just great seeing people's progress on their battle reports, terrain, figures, different so many periods, so many rule systems. It's very, very inspirational.
Yeah.
So we're starting off now this afternoon, tonight with Craig. We've had a test of honor with these.
That's
so
nice.
he Temple Guard.
Nice. Nice.
I love the banner. I love the work on the banner.
Yeah, that's top notch. That's some bright colours as well. I couldn't paint that. Yellows and reds and oranges. Lovely stuff. That's fantastic. I love the basics. So you can see that he's they can be removed, can't they, from that character?
Yeah, he's done the 3. Oh yeah. Very nice.
Next up is Luke, who has got an old hammer White Lord.
I remember him.
That's old school, isn't it?
I don't think I ever owned him, but I certainly remember him in White Dwarf.
Yes. No nonsense pose going on there.
Yeah. That's what it says on the tin.
Yeah. Scares the crap out of you because he's got a big green sword. Up next is Kerry. I think these are AB.
Nice.
French Young Guard.
They look Yeah, they look great.
Two drummers.
Yeah, very nice.
I can't even begin to fathom painting drummers at that scale. But they are nice. Are they 18 or 20?
They are 18, I think.
18,
Yeah.
Very nice. Now these ones are from Martin. These too bad. These are just fantastic. These are from Martin.
Oh my goodness.
Some Mouseketeers.
Nice. There's a drummer as well.
I could paint that. It's very simple. There's no extra fineries on it. It's just a drummer. But they're brilliant. They are absolutely brilliant. I love seeing him producing these. Up next is Neil, some ACW with the 29th Massachusetts.
Oh, they're good. I like them.
Are they
very nice?
They Perry's?
Yes, I think so. Or are they the new Warlord? I don't know. No, they're not a new Warlord, are they? Maybe are they front? They might be front rank.
I'm not sure. No idea.
I was going to keep on saying manufacturer.
Yeah,
we're just going to randomly call out. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, manufacturer lottery. We'll get there in the end. But they are nice. Up next is Simon with some Scythian horse.
Nice.
They are stunning.
That tickles Dom's fancy.
It certainly does. Consider me well and truly tickled. That is great.
Are they even approaching like critical, like moist levels?
I mean, moisture's building. I'm just being put off by the straps.
That sounds weird.
I know. Move on.
Okay. No. Galls.
Oh, they're good.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Lovely. Stripy trousers.
And the ubiquitous severed head. There
Lots
we go.
of heads. Oh, we like the heads. Severed
Tactical
head.
Tactical head.
Tactical head.
Now these, I must have missed these in the Facebook group until I saw them before. These are from Sire G. These are some Burgundians. Look at those!
Yes,
oh my
they are lovely. Strung the bow as well.
Oh,
beautiful.
That is seriously
lovely.
I am definitely moist now.
I know. Is it bad that today I found myself off the back of some conversations been having with Steve and Matt about I started looking at doing a small French force for some
that was just because one person asked whether there was some French troops.
But I don't even want to do them for the Wars of the Roses. I want to do them for just some French Burgundian action because why not? And you got all like those funny little you got like the Mad War and the Siege of Here, and then you got like the Bretons are fighting everybody. And anyway, they're lovely, but
they are nice.
They're making me think of other projects.
Now, these next ones from Steve, just summed up weird shit because I've never seen these before. These are called the Brothers of Rue.
I mean,
looks like one of our local political parties down here.
Can we count on your vote this year?
I mean,
they're great, they're good, they're awesome.
I love the guy on the right. The guy on the extreme right, that's brilliant.
Look at it. So the guy third from the left, what is he holding? Is that a small... What is that?
Is it a tactical head? No, I think he's pushing a child back, isn't it?
Oh, my God. They are supremely weird. The Mad War really bonkers. Where 15th century met weird shit.
Yeah.
Is it actually called the Mad War?
Yeah, it's called the Mad War, yeah.
I'd look into that.
My goodness me.
So Tony has been playing Burrows and Badgers.
Very nice.
That looks like quite the fight we've got going on.
There was a fair old shindig going on there, wasn't there? Gee whiz. I like the guy with the mace there. The one with the... Oh, yeah.
That's the Marmot.
I don't think I've got that one. Quick.
What?
Must order it.
Yeah, look at Marmot fur patterns on Google and get put on a special watch list. And last but not least is Tim with his Wars of the Roses command base. This is stunning. Look at that.
Oh,
hey!
Wow.
I loved it.
So
absolutely loved it. Really nice. Really nice.
Everything about that is just spot on. The basing,
yeah.
figures, banners.
He's just got that, because you can put figures on a base, and he's just got the composition on the base exactly right. The painting's nice. It just looks lovely, and of course he set it all off using Pete's flags, which is awesome.
See, I'd look at that and I think I've got several of those figures, and yet I would not know how to put that together to make it look like that. Just wow.
Brilliant. More excellent work. Like I said, if you're not in the Facebook group and you fancy joining, womble across to the link below. Answer Dom's questions.
Sort of like yeah,
like the like the bridge scene from the Holy Grail. There's just no questions about swallows or coconuts, though.
No. But if you want to clip your coconuts when you come up, that's fine.
Yeah. Absolutely, we endorse the clipping and clopping of coconuts.
We do.
Monty Python. Right, we're at 10 o'clock, chaps. That flew by.
That's awesome.
That was a great discussion. It was really good hearing people's where they are with their painting.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that. Thanks a lot for everyone that spent the on Monday evenings with us. Next week we are over on Dom's channel. Have we got a community guest?
We haven't as yet, actually. There's a couple of people I've reached out to. But if anybody would like to attend, then please put the name forward. Because there were a couple of people who put their name forward some time ago, and I'm not sure they're still available. So if you're interested and you want to come along, then let us know. And you may not have too many more weeks, because having bumped into brother Ken at the club on Friday, he said he might even be back on the stream at some point.
Ooh,
hey! Does that mean he can start paying his share again? Oh, thanks. Yeah, there's some models that I painted.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, apparently he's because Sophie's now sleeping, so he feels slightly more human. So,
does he look more human?
No, I mean obviously not. It's Ken and he's ginger, so you know. But no. It was
so as always,
anyway,
big thank you to everyone. Don't forget to a big thank you to everyone that's watching on the catch up. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave comments, all the YouTubey stuff.
Such a shield.
Hit that like stuff.
Hit the like. Hit all the buttons. And don't forget, we are sponsored by Boards and Swords Hobbies. Use the code PCP5 on their web store, and you will net yourself an additional 5% off your already discounted purchase. And if you are after something, contact Ian directly through the Facebook group, and he can sort it for you.
You can.
So yes. So as always, thanks everyone, and join us next week on Dom's channel. So enjoy your week, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.